Did you know that Shrek was originally supposed to look completely different and that Eddie Murphy improvised so much while voicing Donkey that the creators had to change the script? Today, I'm going to show you 50 of the craziest facts about Shrek that you definitely didn't know. Let's get into it. Shrek 1. The design of Shrek was partially inspired by Maurice Tillet, a French wrestler with acromegaly. His unique features and large physique influenced the creators when designing the Green Ogre. Despite his rough appearance, Tillet had a kind nature, which aligned with Shrek's character. Originally, Chris Farley was supposed to voice Shrek, but he passed away before completing his recordings. He had recorded about 80% of the dialogue, and the film was meant to have a more melancholic tone. After his death, Mike Myers took over the role and insisted on a complete rewrite of the dialogue. Myers also introduced the Scottish accent, which added a new charm to the film. Shrek became the first animated movie to win an Oscar for Best Animated Feature, beating Disney's Monsters, Inc., which was a big deal at the time since DreamWorks was a relatively new competitor in animation. The film revolutionized the genre by parodying classic fairy tales and introducing an unconventional hero. Its financial success launched an entire franchise. Lord Farquaad was inspired by Michael Eisner, the former Disney CEO, with whom DreamWorks co-founder Jeffrey Katzenberg had disputes. Duloc Castle and its giant statues were a parody of Disneyland. The creators had fun sneaking in references to Disney, including the famous line, "like something out of a fairy tale." The song All-Star by Smash Mouth wasn't originally meant to be in Shrek. It was only used as a placeholder track during test screenings, but audiences loved it so much that the filmmakers decided to keep it. Additionally, the song I'm a Believer, which plays at the end, was initially supposed to be performed by Eddie Murphy, the voice of Donkey. Although Murphy recorded a version, the final cut featured Smash Mouth's version. Eddie Murphy once said that voicing Donkey in Shrek was his best acting work. His performance brought so much energy and humor to the character that it became one of the most beloved elements of the movie. Shrek became the first animated character to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The star was unveiled on May 20th, 2010, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the film's release. It is located at 6931 Hollywood Boulevard. In the 1990s, Steven Spielberg owned the rights to the Shrek book by William Steig and planned to turn it into a full-length animated movie. At that time, Bill Murray was considered for the role of Shrek and Robin Williams for Donkey. However, the project eventually landed at DreamWorks, where it was directed by Andrew Adamson and Vicky Jensen. The studio used revolutionary CGI animation, and the film became a massive hit. Alan Rickman was initially offered the role of Lord Farquaad, but turned it down in favor of playing Severus Snape in Harry Potter. The role ultimately went to John Lithgow, who brought his own unique energy to the villain. According to the filmmakers, Cameron Diaz, the voice of Fiona, came up with the idea of Fiona burping. During recording, she spontaneously burped while delivering a line to show that Fiona wasn't a typical refined princess. The filmmakers loved it so much that they kept it in the film and built a funny scene around it with Shrek. Shrek literally saved DreamWorks Animation from financial trouble. The movie earned over $484 million worldwide. Its success led to the creation of an entire franchise, bringing in billions of dollars and helping DreamWorks become a strong competitor against Disney and Pixar. Thanks to this success, other animated hits like How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, and Madagascar were later produced. In an early version of the film, Shrek had longer hair, a bigger beard, and a more rugged appearance. The idea was to make him look more like an outsider who had never known family life, but the design was eventually simplified into the Shrek we know today. In early versions, her character was more similar to classic fairy tale princesses. Eventually, the creators made her more natural to match the overall tone of the film. Shrek 2 became the highest-grossing film in the franchise, earning over $928 million. It wasn't just the most successful Shrek movie, but also one of the highest-grossing animated films of all time. The sequel introduced new fan-favorite characters like Puss in Boots, who became so popular that he later received his own spin-off films. It was also the first animated sequel to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Many of the film's lines were improvised, especially by Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots. The famous scene where Puss makes his adorable big-eyed expression was inspired by real cat behavior. Banderas also suggested that Puss should have a Spanish accent, which gave the character even more charm. The improvisations of the voice actors often changed the tone of entire scenes. The animation was significantly improved compared to the first movie. The team used advanced software to create more realistic hair and fur, which was especially important for animating Puss in Boots. His fur alone took months to perfect, and was considered a breakthrough in animation at the time. The water effects and lighting were also more detailed, making Shrek 2 a technical milestone. The movie is filled with references to other films, including a Spider-Man-style kiss between Shrek and Fiona, and a Hulk-like moment where Shrek turns green with anger. The fairy godmother's headquarters resembles the Coca-Cola sign in Las Vegas, and the Farbucks Cafe is a parody of Starbucks, showing how franchises spread rapidly. Fiona has a poster of Sir Justin above her bed, which is a reference to Justin Timberlake. This wasn't a coincidence. At the time, Cameron Diaz, Fiona's voice actress, was dating Timberlake, so the filmmakers included this fun Easter egg. Puss in Boots was inspired by Zorro, which is why Antonio Banderas was the perfect choice to voice him. Animators carefully studied every detail of his movements, including his iconic sad-eyed expression. The character became so popular that he later received his own spin-off movies, expanding his story beyond the Shrek series. Originally, the fairy godmother was supposed to be a good character, but she was rewritten as the main villain. Her manipulative and cunning personality made Shrek 2 a much more thrilling film. The battle with the giant gingerbread man was inspired by Godzilla. The animators used similar techniques to classic monster movies to give the scene a truly epic feel. Eddie Murphy's improvisations led to some of the funniest moments in the film. His spontaneous humor shaped several key scenes, especially those featuring Donkey and Dragon. There are 14 hidden references to other movies in Shrek 2, including Spider-Man and The Lord of the Rings. For example, Fiona's fight scene is inspired by Charlie's Angels, and the glowing gold ring moment is a nod to The Lord of the Rings. The final dance scene was originally longer, featuring more elaborate choreography and additional characters. However, it had to be shortened to keep the film's runtime reasonable. Puss in Boots was supposed to get his own movie right after Shrek 2. The character was so popular that the studio immediately planned a spin-off. However, it ultimately took until 2011 for Puss to get his own film. Shrek the Third. Justin Timberlake voices Arthur Pendragon, the young heir Shrek seeks to become the future king. Interestingly, Timberlake was already referenced in Shrek 2 when Fiona had his poster in her room. This installment used over 5,000 different animated movements, the most in the entire series. The battle scenes were also more complex than in previous films. The final battle at the castle, for example, featured over 100 characters in a single scene, making it one of the largest animated battles at the time. Every knight, goblin, and fairy tale character had their own unique movements. One of the princesses helping Fiona escape bears a striking resemblance to Elsa from Frozen. Since Shrek the Third was released long before Frozen, 2013, fans have speculated that Elsa's design might have been inspired by her. The character has blonde hair, an icy blue dress, and a similarly cold expression. Antonio Banderas dubbed the film in 4 languages: English, Spanish, Latin American Spanish, and Italian. For 3 years, Shrek the Third held the record for the highest-grossing animated movie of all time. It was eventually surpassed in 2010 by Toy Story 3, which grossed over $1 billion. Arthur's casting as Justin Timberlake amused fans, as Cameron Diaz, Fiona, was dating him at the time. However, they broke up before the movie was released. This film introduced the largest number of side characters in the series, including the Knights of the Round Table. More than 40 different fairy tale characters appeared, requiring the animators to develop a special algorithm for crowd scenes to ensure smooth and realistic movements. Arthur's teacher is a clear parody of a stereotypical strict school professor. The filmmakers poked fun at school stereotypes, unpopular teachers, and uncomfortable school assemblies, humor aimed mainly at adult audiences who could relate to those experiences. Originally, the film's villains were supposed to be giant trolls, witches, and other mythical creatures. However, the creators decided to go with classic Disney-style villains instead. Shrek Forever After, the fourth Shrek movie, took a darker turn, featuring an alternate reality where Shrek is broken and Fiona leads a resistance movement. The creators aimed to deliver a deeper emotional experience. New CGI technology was used to enhance textures and improve hair animation. Rumpelstiltskin was initially designed differently. The villain was originally planned to be either the evil prince or the fairy godmother from Shrek 2. Eventually, the filmmakers settled on Rumpelstiltskin, giving him a unique quirk. His wigs change based on his mood. His final design was adapted from a cameo appearance in Shrek the Third. Puss in Boots underwent a major transformation, appearing overweight in the alternate reality. This was purely a humorous choice by the animators, meant to show how much Puss had changed when he no longer lived an adventurous life. Despite his lazy, pampered demeanor, he retained his signature, adorable expression. Early script drafts suggested that Rumpelstiltskin was the fairy godmother's brother, and they would join forces against Shrek. However, this idea was scrapped, and Rumpelstiltskin became a standalone villain with his own scheme to take over the kingdom. The battle scene with the witches was heavily inspired by the magical duels in Harry Potter. The animators incorporated dynamic visual effects, reminiscent of wizard battles, and the witches' broom-flying attacks resembled the Death Eaters. Initially intended as the final chapter in the Shrek saga, this film was meant to close the story by having Shrek rediscover the joy of his life. However, due to fan enthusiasm and the continued popularity of the franchise, plans for a fifth movie were eventually revived. Shrek 5, the original voice cast is returning, with Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz, Eddie Murphy, and Antonio Banderas reprising their roles as Shrek, Fiona, Donkey, and Puss in Boots. The film is directed by Walt Dorn, Trolls 1 to 3, and Brad Abelson, Minions: The Rise of Gyaru. Dorn has previously worked on Shrek 2, 3, and 4 as a writer and head of visual development. A new generation of characters will be introduced, with Zendaya joining the cast as Felicia, Shrek and Fiona's teenage daughter. This edition promises fresh family dynamics in the swamp. Story details remain tightly guarded, but it is expected to focus on Shrek, Fiona, and their family relationships, bringing new challenges and adventures. The release of Shrek 5 will coincide with the 25th anniversary of the original Shrek, a milestone likely to be celebrated with special events and re-releases of previous films. Following the success of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, DreamWorks decided to move forward with Shrek 5. Although the series once seemed to have ended, fan enthusiasm has brought Shrek back to the big screen. The film is scheduled for release on December 23rd, 2026. Which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next batch of interesting facts. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.